My name is Kenneth Oberlander. I'm a senior lecturer in the Department of Plant and Soil Sciences here at University of Pretoria. My research, I am a systematist or an evolutionary biologist. So I focus specifically on the evolution of the incredible Cape flora of South Africa. That's always been my passion. Focusing on a very understudied genus which is incredibly species rich in the Cape but extends throughout all of South Africa, called Oxalis. Looking at various evolutionary aspects of how we have this incredible diversity, how it originated, how it is maintained, sort of the evolutionary questions underlying that. So Oxalis is incredibly weird. It is so just amazingly interesting. Everything about it is topsy-turvy, unusual, unlike so many other groups of species-rich South African plant genera that just can tell us a huge amount about how diversity is generated, how it's maintained, and potentially going forward how we as human beings can actually continue to conserve it. So Oxalis is one of the ways it's weird is that it's got this paradox. It has some of the most invasive species and worst weeds on the planet. And yet it also has, specifically in South Africa, more than a third of our species are on the red data list, are in some way endangered or naturally rare. So what 1KSA is doing is it's kind of addressing both questions. For us at least, from a genetic perspective, is how come some species are so incredibly good at invading and becoming such massive economic liabilities in the countries that they invade? And the other sort of aspect is why are other species so incredibly rare? And it is possible that we might be able to fish out some of the evolutionary past involved in why species just naturally occur in very small areas. So a couple of the species that 1KSA are sequencing occur literally, their natural distribution range is about the size of a football field. That is it on Earth, nowhere else. And 1KSA is sequencing a couple of those species for us. So the idea is we might be able to use the assembled genomes to explore questions surrounding natural rarity and as well as having at least some kind of a genetic basis for these plants if humans do in some way impact their long-term evolutionary survival. So if they are in some sense massively endangered by human activity, by urbanization, by other alien invasive plants, at least we've got some kind of valuable genetic data related to that plant that can help us to plan conservation efforts, either in the veld or ex situ. There's a growing body of evidence in the literature that these polyploids behave differently from the diploids. And some of them are, one of the sort of general themes that is emerging is that polyploids are better at surviving disturbance. They're better at handling change. So in a potentially, or in a real, very much warming world, such as we're currently undergoing, it's possible that the polyploid oxalises might actually benefit from this at the expense of their close diploid relatives. This is more than just academic interest. I mean, so many of humanity's crops are polyploid. Many of the things, the fruits and vegetables that you eat, you don't know it, but they are polyploid. And humans have selected them because very often polyploids have certain advantages. So their yields are higher, the fruits and vegetables that you get are bigger. So humans have naturally picked these up and cultivated them. So sort of the long-term potential advantages of being polyploid are not just of interest from a purely dry ivory tower kind of approach. They also have huge relevance for how our polyploid crops might behave under scenarios of global change. I'd like to extend my thanks to DIPLOMICS and to 1KSA for sequencing these genomes for us, so going to the time and the trouble and the expense to actually advance genomic science and bioinformatics science in South Africa. Speaking as a scientist, the value is incalculable. What it is helping us to do to advance science, to move science forward is enormous. And my hope is that it will also lead to immense amounts of sort of value added to South African biodiversity in general and to South Africans in general. So thank you very much.